Oftentimes, we are told that the trouble with Nigeria is not the absence of laws, but effective implementation. Despite being a signatory to the 35% affirmation action of women adopted in Beijing in 1995, the implementation in the country is nothing to write home about. Now, Justice Donatus Okoro of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the federal government to comply with the 35% affirmative action for women in public offices. Justice Okoro made the order while delivering judgment in a suit filed by women groups challenging the alleged marginalization of women by the government, citing provisions of the 2006 National Gender Policy, the 1999 Constitution as amended, and the Africa Charter of Human Rights and People's Rights. Wale, this is, since that awareness from Beijing 1995, there's been this kind of paradigm shift on the role of women in governance.
I think what the judge did was good. It's just to affirm what is already in our constitution. The gender equity law in 2000 and passed the law, I think 2006 or so. And also the fact that it's in line with global best practices, the African Charter on Women and People's Rights. And the fact that, why are we talking about, women inclusion? We know that, women in terms of population, most countries, women are more. In Nigeria, it's almost the same, maybe 80 to 70 something, proportion of, so they are huge. And even when you are talking in terms of voting, a lot of women are involved in terms of, taking decisions on. But for years, we don't actually give them the kind of role that they need to play. And I think things are changing now. We need to also join the rest of the world. For instance, in Nigeria, out of 36 deputy state governors, we have just about 4 that are women. And we don't have a state that has a woman as a governor. In the parliament, I think we have just about 7 senators. And they're about less than 22 out of 109. Out of about 22 members of the House of Rep.
Out of 360.
Yeah, out of 360. Take Rwanda, for instance. In 2015, I think they had, out of 80 parliamentarians, they had 46 that were women. In Cuba, out of 605, they have about 322 women. So women are critical. They are major stakeholders, especially when you are talking about implementation of policies that have to do with children, that have to do with women empowerment, and many other things like that. So I think our record is just poor. We are not setting good standard for Africa. And I think I like what the judge did, but also there will have been no need for that judgment, because it was just trying to remind us that, look, there's a law that we need to, to abide. We look at all the president aspirants, how many of them are women? The speakers of the House of Assembly. So I think it is time for us to do it the way other people are doing it. We need to give our women a sense of belonging, because they are human beings like us.
It's going to be a tall order for this to pass through the National Assembly. Tony, they attempted it and the participation, but Justice Okoro, Donatus Okoro, has affirmed it and saying that, look, they should be given this 35%. But when you want to look at maybe, would I say, culture, tradition, some part of the country, you dare not raise your voice.
That's where the law comes in. And if Nigeria is a law-abiding country, I will respect the law, obeys the law. I mean, culture, take the second place position here. We've been toying with it over time. Like, what stops you from appointing a woman? How does culture, for instance, inhibit? I know some part of this country, but we have to start from somewhere. Okay, leave those part of the country or those areas in particular. What about others that are not practicing, or that such inhibitions are not there? The fact is that Nigerian politics, as of today, does not recognize the place of women in governance. Let's be realistic. And it's not that women are not doing well. In the private sector, they are doing perfectly well. But when it comes to public sector, where government should you're drawing a list of commissioners, special advisors, special assistant and all that. And when you take a look at that, the list, most times, like 10% or 5% women, the female gender is represented. And we keep doing it all the time. When election comes, you look for these women to campaign, to vote for you. You get there. So the question is, it's not about culture. I think it goes beyond that. It's something that has been there over time. And until we start, and I don't blame them when they went to the National Assembly. And you even saw what happened at the National Assembly. For days, nobody listened to them. They were there for days, and though some principal officers of the National Assembly came out to talk with them, but it goes beyond that. When election comes, you need them. Culture does not come at that point, or tradition, or whatever. Maybe beclouding their sense of reasoning. But when it comes to appointments, that is when we have to start giving reason. The time has come. They are doing well. I can call names of female Nigerians who are presently doing well, who have done well in the past. We don't have any excuse.
Well, it used to be so bad that in some other part of the country, it was difficult for you to, if you give birth to a girl child, a female as your firstborn, and to inherit your father's property will become war. Yeah. Because they will say, no, you can't. Because, but I think the Supreme Court at the point in time have done that.
Yes. Women have not been given their fair share of the deal. And I think it's a sin. It's ungodly. We need to recognize that they gave back to us, and that they are also capable. There is this misconception that they believe women are not competent, which is not true. We have seen women, lead so many countries. Look at Germany, even Britain at the time. Britain produced one of the most influential prime ministers, Thatcher and all that. All over the world, we have seen women, even in Nigeria. Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti, Queen Amina, and many other people like that have proved that women are as capable as men. But most of the time, we use them as objects. When it's time, people are having political campaigns, they buy dresses for them to just dance and then, go their way. So I think it's time for us to begin to recognize that they are equal stakeholders, they are partners, if we really want to build a society that, is all inclusive.
Wale gave us the breakdown of the National Assembly, the position of the House of Assemblies across the 36 states, and
even at the federal
encouragement. Now, do you see in any time soon a woman being the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
We can do it. We can do it. There's no big deal there. And it has to start from the executive. When you draw a list of ministers, heads of MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies.
Always take that into consideration.
Take that into consideration. Let it start from the top. It will go through the states and local governments. Yes, let it reflect. There is nothing big about. I think when we have the right leadership, all these things we take. It's not difficult to do. It's not difficult to do. It's not about buying them wrapper and buying them rice and all those things when the election. And I appreciate the fact that they stood up this time and said, no, enough is enough. Okay, they cannot compete because Nigerian politics now is nocturnal because most of the time it's in the night and of course so that's where the woman cannot effectively participate in Nigerian politics because that's when critical decisions are taken. Okay, now, but start with appointment. Start with appointment. The former president of Liberia was a woman. And in Nigeria here, Dora Akunyili was Minister of Information. Before then, she was not that DG. She performed excellently well since that time. In Nigeria today, I don't even know how many ministers we have. We don't hear about them. The so-called male, gender, what are they doing? We are talking about problem here. We've been talking about insecurity and all that, dominated by men. So why can't you just change it? Try something else. The women, I know they will perform excellently well because they're doing
let me so at the moment. Peter is calling us from Taraba State. Thank you for joining us, Peter.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my contribution on this particular issue are discussing, and the one that I just talked about the women affirmative, I believe that just like one of the speakers said, it's from the appointment you have to start, because if they talk about elected positions, it will be a bit difficult for now. But for appointment, if they give them their due positions, the appointment, you see them, some of them after some years, you see them moving into elected positions also. But for appointment, if they start giving them, I believe the president, any government that will come to do better. And also about insecurity, I believe that our problem is on the leadership, because we have gotten to a point that we forget about politics and invite the president, invite the people that matters in this country, invite all people that have a say, that this is what is in our hands. We need a solution. But our president doesn't believe in state police. I don't know why. People that will bring, there's a lot of people that can bring in their wealth, contribute money for this insecurity, for us to know what to do. In order that that you can put protocols aside, other than every need or more, that every state should organize the security outfit. If the president, have time to inspect them. Because I believe if it's in my community and I want to protect my community, protect my mother, protect my sisters, brothers, I can put in my life to protect them.
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. Can we achieve that 35% in just one full swap?
Well, certain things are happening. There is a gradual paradigm shift. You know, there was a woman, Folashade Brent.
Yes.
A Yoruba woman.
Yes.
Who became a senator in Adamawa State.
I think she got married to someone from Adamawa.
And
yes.
The people of Adamawa voted for her. Yes. A woman, in Adamawa State, in a conservative state. So it shows that, potentially, we can do it. We can do it. We also have this woman, Aisha Dahiru, who is also from the north. So, I mean, from
at the first time we have Senator Kaira Gwalabi.
Yes, so we can do it. It's possible. We have seen a lot of precedents that shows that we have the capacity to. You can never imagine a Yoruba woman going to win a lecture in Adamawa State. I mean, the north. That gives us a lot of hope. And I think there are so many beautiful stories like that that tells me that that tell me that we should not give up.
Tony, that 35%, can we just implement it immediately like that?
It's going to go gradual, definitely, because it's going to be a gradual process. But let's just start somewhere. Let's start somewhere. Let it start from the presidency all the way down. Give them appointments. When you want to appoint ministers, if you're appointing 50, for instance, then why can't you be just equal? Or let's say 60-40% to the women. The same thing goes for MDM agencies and parastatals of government. And then it will go down to the states. When the federal is doing it, the state will copy it. That's how we start. Then before they start going into elective positions and all that, offices, before they can have the guts to now introduce them. Introduce them. Because you can't run the show all the time. I believe if you're a woman among the security chiefs, something different would have happened. I know. It's not about men. What have we achieved?
The National Assembly. The National Assembly. The First Lady actually went to the National Assembly with some other top government officials, and at least in solidarity with this. Yeah. But this bill, I don't see it scaling through.
I think it's good that we have the First Lady appears to be passionate about. Exactly. And I hope she will use her, weight. And we have some other women like that, like the First Lady in Ekiti State, BC Fayemi. She's been doing exceptionally well, in terms of promoting gender equity, creating new laws, and to make, and if you go to Ekiti State, that people are so proud of a lot of things that have been done, that could be linked to her. So we need such women all over the country too. Very fantastic. Yes,
Femi is calling us from. Thank you for River State. Okay. Go ahead, Femi.
To your colleagues here.
Yes, good evening, Femi.
We're talking about the security situation.
Okay.
what is there is that modern war is not fought by the number of men you put on the field, but by the superior technology you deploy. We have everything to deploy superior technology than all these bandits and Boko Haram. Why are we not using them? Because we have everything possible to deploy superior technology to counteract them, which they cannot, they don't even have the means. So if we continue with this way we are doing, we are not going anywhere. And the security architecture of the country is no good. If we don't have state police, we don't have local government police, we are not getting anywhere. Thank you.
That's state police.
Yeah,
because that's for me, that's the number one.
You mentioned earlier.
That's the number one because I mean,
we still have to change the security.
We have to. We are sitting down here. Security, essentially, if you hear there's a problem, they won't go out. So that's number one. Safety of lives and property, number one. So if we're doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result, we're not making progress. All it takes is to rejig it. If there are some human elements there that are making it impossible, change them. Learn to sack people when they are not performing. Sack them. There are a lot of people to replace who are eager to do that work. Sack them, sack them. If they are not doing it, sack them.
Well,
because the same people are not working.
You mentioned something earlier. This will become a major campaign issue. But that now Nigerians should know that we should ask question: who are we going to replace Mr. President with?
I think
does he have what it takes?
I think that is the most important point, the most important issue that faces.
How do you intend to secure this country?
President Buhari will be leaving, few months' time. The issue before Nigerians now is that who takes over the baton? How competent is the person? How versatile is the person? How visionary is the person? What's this person's background? What is the strategy, the game, the changing, plan, the template, that the person wants to use? So we need to know. So I think it's a very major issue. Like the man, was talking about Sequoia and all that. That train passed through Qatari and Regani villages. If there have been community policing, those communities will have been involved.
When you see some soldiers across the road track.
The IED was planted by a human being, not by a ghost. You went there to plant. Somebody in that village will have seen it. But communities are not involved in policing. So they see it as a property of the government that is just handed over to them. They are not part of it, they are not involved. If those communities where the rail line passes through are involved, they will take possession of that rail line and make sure that if anything happens, they will make sure they report it. So we need to go back to policing that involves community, and that's why we're talking about state policing. If not, then it seems we are yet not serious to deal with these issues.